3 years ago, the world lost a beloved television icon, Tony Dow, the heartthrob older brother from Leave It to Beaver. Since then, his wife Lauren Shulkind has remained almost completely silent, until now. In a quiet, deeply emotional interview, she finally opened up about Tony's final days. The pain she carried alone, and the truth she's never shared publicly, until today. Comment below. Did you grow up watching Leave It to Beaver? Type 1. If yes, 0 if not quite, but you've heard of it. Let's take a walk through memory and healing. The shadow of a distant childhood. To an entire generation, Tony Dow will always be Wally Cleaver, the calm, kind, and level-headed brother who helped define 1950s American television. There are faces that never fade from our memories. Not because they are famous stars with dazzling fame, but because they are attached to a part of our lives like innocent laughter, like afternoons sitting in front of the small screen with family. Tony Dow is such a face. Tony entered the lives of millions of Americans, and later generations around the world, in the form of the teenager Wally Cleaver in the legendary sitcom Leave It to Beaver. At that time, he was only 12 years old. With bright eyes, a gentle smile, and the temperament of an exemplary big brother, Wally became a symbol of the image of an ideal post-war family, where kindness, honesty, and family love were sacred. Leave It to Beaver did not need sensational scripts or spectacular special effects, but simply conquered viewers with its closeness and sincerity. Each episode is like a gentle slice of life. When a boy makes a mistake, the father does not scold, but gently guides. When the older brother encounters difficulties, he still sets an example for his younger brother. In it, Tony, with his rustic but emotional acting, is the soul of Wally. And Wally Cleaver did not stop when the series ended in 1963. Older audiences today may still clearly remember the moment when they first saw Wally grow up in Still the Beaver, then step into everyday life with his son in the new Leave It to Beaver. Tony Dow not only recreated the old character but brought new depth to Wally of the new era, carrying memories and old values in the heart of a changing world. Viewers not only followed the story but also met an old friend to review the years that had passed. Although famous from a very young age, Tony never let the halo obscure himself. After finishing his first journey with television, he did not seek noisy roles but spent time studying sculpture directing and living a simple but profound life. His sculptures were displayed in art museums, quiet, profound, and somewhat reflecting the calm soul of that artist. Tony is not only a part of the screen, but also the memory of many generations. There were evenings when the television was still a treasure of the whole family. Parents and grandparents sat with their children and grandchildren, watching each episode of Leave It to Beaver. Adults found sympathy in the family relationships that were gently but subtly portrayed. Children learned how to love, behave, and grew up with an example like Wally, the ideal brother that everyone wished to have. That image still appears in memory now, like the afternoon sunlight tinged with nostalgia. When Tony and his wife Lauren shared the news of his cancer diagnosis in May, fans everywhere were stunned. They didn't care what kind of cancer it was. What mattered was that their childhood brother was going through a difficult time, and the hearts of millions of viewers wanted to send him comfort and gratitude. For many, Tony was more than just an actor. He was a symbol of the past, of a simple kindness, of a world where people could still trust each other. In an age where television is constantly changing and traditional family values are fading, looking back at Tony Dow's journey is a gentle reminder that there are things that never go out of style, like family, like kindness, like a genuine smile. And of all the roles he played Tony's real life, gentle, unpretentious, but sincere and full of kindness, was the best. Today, if you are an adult, you probably watched Leave It to Beaver with your parents or later with your children. And now, when you hear the name Tony Dow, memories suddenly come flooding back. Memories not just of a movie, but of childhood, of a simple time, a world full of love. Tony passed away in 2022, but Wally Cleaver remains, in the hearts of those who loved him. As the old saying goes, there are people who leave this world, but they leave behind a light, like a candle burning silently in the souls of others. Tony Dow was such a candle, Lauren and Tony shared the news of his cancer diagnosis in May, though they chose not to specify the type. Lauren Shulkind breaks silence after 3 years. Tony Dow's widow has finally broken her silence to share her thoughts with the public. Lauren Shulkind stayed quiet since her husband passed away, but now she talks about the tough times around his death and their life together. Lauren Shulkind picked this moment to speak as she worked through her grief. She kept everyone updated about Tony's health during his illness. She and Tony told everyone about his cancer diagnosis together last May. Unfortunately, Tony has once again been diagnosed with cancer. He is approaching this reality so bravely, but it is truly heartbreaking. They said in their announcement together, she needed time to process the mix-up that happened when Tony was wrongly said to have died while he was still alive. This painful experience left a deep mark on her emotional well-being. George Pinocchio, who talked with her during those difficult days, said, "Lauren admits she's been a little fuzzy these days, understandable." This shows why she needed so much time to sort through everything before talking to the public again. The overwhelming emotions she felt also explain her silence. She described herself as understandably distraught and grief-stricken about what's been going on with Tony's health battle these past months. People need time to heal and think when they feel such strong emotions. Lauren chose to share her thoughts through trusted media contacts instead of making a formal announcement or posting on social media. She talked to entertainment journalist George Pinocchio, who then shared what she said on social media. Lauren took the blame for the mix-up about Tony's death announcement, saying it was of my own doing. This honest admission shows her character as she dealt with what must have been an incredibly painful time for their family. She said she felt foolish as news of Tony's supposed death quickly spread worldwide. She clearly cared about how this confusion affected fans and media who cherished her husband's memory. Lauren kept talking to fans on social media throughout May and June before Tony passed away. "Now we're having health challenges. Do keep Tony in your thoughts. He has another immunotherapy infusion this coming week. Hugs and kisses. Lauren and Tony," she wrote in one update. These messages showed how much she wanted to keep Tony's fans informed. She later shared good news about his treatment. "I'm beginning immunotherapy and it seems to be working," she said on Tony's behalf. "I can now get up and walk without assistance and feel improvement every day. I have a big day coming up on the 31st with the doctor and I'm hoping for a good report." She showed real thanks for everyone's support. "All the thoughts, cards, and good wishes have had a tremendous effect on me, and I'm appreciative for all the caring you've expressed." This gratitude shows how much fan support meant during their tough times. She confessed, "I wasn't ready to talk. I wasn't ready to be the one who had to tell the world what Tony went through." She described Tony's final months as filled with both peace and pain. "He told me, I've lived a full life, but I'm not ready to go. Not yet." Lauren revealed that Tony continued to sculpt even during treatment, creating one final bronze piece that now sits quietly in her garden. She also opened up about the false reports of his death, which were mistakenly published before he actually passed. That moment shattered her. "I lost him twice, once to the world, once to life." But perhaps the most moving part came when Lauren shared the last words Tony ever said to her. "He looked at me, smiled, and said, 'You gave me peace even when the world couldn't.'" She paused, holding back tears. "I've never shared that until now, but I think the world needs to know Tony left this earth loved deeply." Lauren also addressed fans directly. "You all made him feel relevant even in his last year. Every card, every message, every memory, it mattered." Lauren's latest statement shows her ongoing love for Tony's memory and her wish to explain what happened during that confusing time. Her words paint a picture of someone who, despite dealing with loss and public confusion, keeps her dignity and appreciates those who still honor her husband's legacy. Lauren recalls the day Tony Dow was mistakenly declared dead. The mix-up about Tony Dow's death in July 2022 stands as one of the strangest moments in Lauren Shulkind's life with her husband. News outlets worldwide jumped the gun and reported his death a day early because of a mix-up that started with Lauren herself. Lauren Shulkind felt very distraught as she watched Tony battle cancer in hospice care at their home. The pain of seeing her husband of 42 years slip away had left its mark. She told ABC News reporter George Pennacchio that she felt a little fuzzy throughout Tony's health struggle. The false announcement spread worldwide quickly. Lauren felt foolish about what happened. Her embarrassment made her grief worse. She had to deal with both her husband's failing health and a public mix-up during an already heartbreaking time. Pennacchio spoke directly with Lauren and said, "She is understandably distraught and grief-stricken about what's been going on with Tony's health battle these past months." Her emotional state helps explain how such a big mix-up happened. Lauren's pain showed clearly in her words after the whole ordeal. "It is of my own doing," she said about the early announcement. She made sure people knew that she loves and adores her husband with all of her heart. The public nature of the mistake made her private pain even worse. Lauren had to watch her husband in his final hours while the world tried to figure out if he had already died. Everything started when Lauren, deep in grief, told Tony's management team wrongly that he had died. His managers said, "This morning, Tony's wife Lauren, who was very distraught, had notified us that Tony had passed and asked that we notify all his fans." Frank Bellotta and Renee James, Tony's managers and dear friends, posted news of his death on his official Facebook page. They wrote, "It is with an extremely heavy heart that we share with you the passing of our beloved Tony this morning." Media outlets and social media picked up the news fast. The post disappeared later when everyone learned Tony was still alive, though barely hanging on. Lauren explained to ABC News that she had inferred to people close to her that Tony had died even though he was still in hospice care at home. The misunderstanding grew bigger as word passed from these people to Tony's management team, who then told the public. Tony's son Christopher cleared things up. "This is a difficult time. Dad is at home under hospice care and in his last hours. My wife and I are by his side along with many friends that have visited. He has a fighting heart." Tony's daughter-in-law called the family to say, "While Tony is not doing well, he has not yet passed." The management team updated their statement to fix the mistake, but the news had already spread everywhere. Tony Dow died the next day, July 27, 2022. He was 77 years old, and his family stayed with him until the end. Family clarifies Tony Dow's condition during the confusion. The world faced confusion about Tony Dow's status until his family stepped up to clarify his actual condition. News outlets wrongly spread reports of his death, which forced Christopher Dow and his wife to address the public while they cared for Tony's declining health. Christopher Dow quickly corrected the premature death announcement through his father's Facebook page. His heartfelt message explained the reality. "This is a difficult time. Dad is at home under hospice care and in his last hours. My wife and I are by his side along with many friends that have visited." The statement revealed Tony's grave condition and the strength that defined his character. "He has a fighting heart," Christopher noted, which captured his father's spirit even in his final moments. His words helped prepare fans for what was coming while celebrating Tony's resilient nature. Tony's daughter-in-law took action when she saw the false reports. She reached out to Tony's management team and confirmed that, while Tony is not doing well, he has not yet passed. Her quick response helped correct the information that spread online. Lauren Shulkind stayed close to Christopher and his wife through this time. Yes, it was their support that helped Lauren, who struggled emotionally during this period. The family stood together despite the chaos and made Tony's comfort their top goal. The Dow family faced an unusual challenge. They had to correct false death reports while preparing for the inevitable. Their calm and dignified response showed incredible strength under pressure. Tony Dow received hospice care at home before the death announcement confusion started. Many families choose this option to let their loved ones spend their final days in familiar surroundings instead of hospitals. Christopher shared that Tony stayed at home under hospice care, which let Lauren Shulkind remain by his side throughout his final trip. This setup allowed family and close friends to say goodbye in a private setting. Christopher and Lauren kept watch as Tony entered his last hours. They created a peaceful space for him surrounded by loved ones. This care continued until Tony passed away on July 27, 2022, just one day after the early announcement. Hospice care provided specialized end-of-life support that focused on comfort rather than treatment. These final moments held deep meaning for Lauren Shulkind, Tony's wife of 42 years, despite the public confusion. The Dow family kept most medical details private. They shared Tony's cancer diagnosis from May 2022, which grew worse despite treatment. Lauren had earlier talked about Tony's immunotherapy treatments that showed early promise. The family protected Tony's comfort and dignity while dealing with the media chaos. Christopher and his wife shielded both Tony and Lauren from outside confusion as much as possible. Their care during these last hours showed the same love that marked their entire relationship. Lauren Shulkind's final moments with her husband of 4 decades completed a lifetime partnership built on deep love and respect. Public reacts to conflicting reports on Tony Dow's death. News of Tony Dow's death broke too soon, causing an unprecedented public reaction. Fans and media outlets found themselves caught up in a confusing situation that played out on social platforms and news sites. Tributes poured in across social media platforms as people heard about the supposed passing of the beloved Leave It to Beaver star. Many shared personal memories about how Tony Dow changed their lives through his iconic role as Wally Cleaver and his later career. These heartfelt sentiments were posted on Facebook by Jerry Mathers, who portrayed Beaver Cleaver with Tony Dow. He said, "It is with the utmost sadness that I learned of my co-star and lifelong friend Tony Dow's passing." He went on to say, "Tony was not only my brother on television, but he was also my brother in many ways in life. He has left a hole in my heart that can never be filled despite my best efforts." Mixed signals began to circulate, which led to an increase in confusion. Following the dissemination of news indicating that Dow was still alive, fans voiced their profound confusion. Commentary on social media platforms ranged from expressions of relief to expressions of displeasure at the erroneous information. One of the users on Twitter posed the question, "How can something like this occur on top of everything else Tony Dow and his family are having to cope with this, which is a terrible injustice?" The celebrities appeared to be similarly perplexed. Some were required to either alter their tribute posts or completely erase them. Others chose to remain silent until they were able to verify the information, which resulted in an unusual lack of expressions of sympathy from individuals who would ordinarily express their sorrow. Throughout this critical period, Lauren Shulkind received a great number of messages of support from individuals. A number of people on social media noticed the emotional strain that this situation had on Tony Dow's wife of 42 years. On several occasions, messages such as, "My heart goes out to Lauren Shulkind during this difficult time," were widely disseminated across various channels. It was difficult for media organizations all around the world to deal with the ambiguity over Tony Dow's condition. According to the statement that his management team posted on Facebook, his death was reported by a number of entertainment publications, including CNN, ABC News, NPR, and others. After realizing that Tony was still alive, these organizations were compelled to post retractions following the discovery. Almost immediately, CNN modified their headline to read, "Tony Dow, who starred in Leave It to Beaver, is still alive, according to his son." After then, other big periodicals followed suit and explained the circumstances that led to the misunderstanding. Journalists have drawn comparisons to the famous phrase attributed to Mark Twain, which was published in 1897, and said, "The reports of my death are greatly exaggerated." Over the course of numerous recent news pieces, this parallel was mentioned. The television news programs that first reported Dow's passing were required to air corrections in subsequent portions. Through the dissemination of verifiable information from Lauren Shulkind, George Pinocchio, an entertainment reporter for ABC7, contributed to the correction of the record. In this instance, the limitations of current reporting were brought to light where speed and accuracy frequently clash with one another. Regarding the verification of death announcements, news organizations were taught a lesson that was quite depressing. Next, the news that Tony Dow had gone away the next day, other media outlets took further safeguards. They brought up the confusion that occurred the day before and indicated that they were waiting for Christopher Dow's confirmation before posting anything. A level of scrutiny that had never been seen before was applied to the actual death announcement as a result of the previous error. For the entirety of this time period, Lauren Shulkind remained a key figure in the press coverage. Journalists were aware that she was not only dealing with public bewilderment, but also with the impending death of her husband, which was being brought to the attention of the public in an unexpected manner. Tony Dow's health battle and cancer recurrence. Tony Dow's last days came with their share of confusion around his death announcement. The beloved actor fought a tough battle with cancer. His wife, Lauren Shulkind, never left his side through these challenging moments. Tony Dow dealt with health problems long before he went to the hospital in 2022. Life threw several medical challenges his way, including a bout of pneumonia that put him in the hospital back in 2021. The cancer diagnosis in May 2022 ended up being the most serious challenge of all. Tony and Lauren Shulkind shared news of his cancer with the public on May 5, 2022. Their words were brave, yet honest. Unfortunately, Tony has once again been diagnosed with cancer. He is approaching this reality so bravely, but it is truly heartbreaking. The couple kept some details private and didn't reveal the specific type of cancer. Doctors started Tony on immunotherapy treatments right away to fight the disease with modern medicine. The original treatment showed promise. Lauren shared good news about Tony's progress in late May. She posted on social media, "I'm beginning immunotherapy and it seems to be working. I can now get up and walk without assistance and feel improvement every day." This bright spot gave both of them hope. "I have a big day coming up on the 31st with the doctor and I'm hoping for a good report," she shared during treatment. Tony's health declined by a lot in July 2022. The cancer spread despite treatment efforts and he needed hospice care at home. His condition changed from showing positive signs to needing end-of-life care in just 2 months. Lauren Shulkind became Tony's voice to the world while caring for him at home. Her role grew more crucial as his health declined, and she carefully shared updates about his condition. Lauren started posting regular health updates on social media after Tony's diagnosis in May 2022. She struck a balance between truth and hope in her messages. "Now we're having health challenges. Do keep Tony in your thoughts. He has another immunotherapy infusion this coming week. Hugs and kisses, Lauren and Tony." She shared Tony's words with his fans as treatment continued. One heartfelt message showed his appreciation. "All the thoughts, cards, and good wishes have had a tremendous effect on me, and I'm appreciative for all the caring you've expressed." Lauren posted less often in July when Tony started hospice care. The emotional weight had grown heavier, leaving her very distraught during this time, notwithstanding that she tried to keep fans informed through people she trusted. Their 42-year marriage bond showed in Lauren's devotion throughout Tony's cancer fight. Even during the mix-up about his death announcement, she focused on being there for her husband in his final days. This dedication reflected their deep connection since they first met in 1978. Tony Dow's legacy as Wally Cleaver and beyond. The profound impression that Tony Dow's portrayal of Wally Cleaver hath made on the history of American television cannot be erased. His persona evolved into a cultural touchstone that provided the foundation for his public identification throughout his whole life. The well-known figure from the 1950s established a prosperous career that extended much beyond the scope and significance of his memorable performance for the film. In his later years, he focused his attention on directing and the visual arts. Tony Dow, who was just 12 years old at the time, had a sudden and unexpected change in his life. In order to secure the part of Wally Cleaver, he went to an audition with a buddy and ended up getting the part. Dow, who had no prior experience in the acting industry, provided true charm to his role as Theodore Beaver Cleaver's responsible elder brother from 1957 to 1963. Over the course of the show's 6 seasons, Dow's character evolved from that of an older brother who occasionally became annoyed to that of a thinking adolescent who was confronting adolescence. There was a fantastic on-screen synergy between him and Jerry Mathers, who performed the role of Beaver. The two of them worked together to create one of the most genuine sibling relationships in television history. Dow was able to represent the issues that teenagers face in a straightforward manner, rather than using dramatization, which contributed to the show's success. During the 1980s, Dow reprised his well-known character in the reunion film Still the Beaver, and the subsequent series, the new Leave It to Beaver, 1983 to 1989. Both of these projects were released together. Lauren Shulkind, his wife, whom he had married in 1980, was there to support him as he re-entered the role that had made him famous in the first place. Over the course of the 1960s and 1970s, Dow made cameos in a number of different television shows, expanding his acting career outside the confines of Wally. He appeared as a guest on the television shows My Three Sons, Dr. Kildare, and Square Pegs. This constituted a significant turning point in his career, as it was during the 1990s that he began directing television shows. A number of well-known television shows such as Babylon 5, Coach, and Harry and the Hendersons provided him with opportunities to direct episodes. Through her presence on set, Lauren Shulkind Dow showed her support for her husband's work as a director. Personal and professional growth occurred as a result of their collaboration on a variety of creative endeavors, which led to the development of their relationship. The last years of Dow's life demonstrated his talent as a sculptor who was well regarded. Not only did his abstract bronze sculptures garner accolades from critics, but they also found homes in galleries across the world. This artistic drive was something that Lauren Shulkind, who is also an artist, shared with her husband during their whole marriage with him. The artistic variety that Tony possessed demonstrated his determination to go beyond the child star cliché. As an adult actor-director and visual artist, he was able to effectively recreate himself thanks to his efforts. This adaptability meant that his legacy would be remembered for far more than simply the time he spent living in the Cleaver home. Lauren Shulkind reflects on their 42-year marriage. 1979 was the beginning of Lauren Shulkind and Tony Dow's love affair, which took place in Kansas City. It was during her time working at Bernstein Rain Advertising that she cast him in a McDonald's ad for a regional market. It was a chance encounter that led to the beginning of a romantic relationship that would endure for more than 40 years. It was on June 16, 1980, in Laguna Beach among the hermit crabs and tide pools that the couple exchanged their vows. On the day of their anniversary, Lauren cherished the memory of this momentous occasion. A fairy tale was how Lauren described their marriage, which lasted for 42 years. The fact that they had similar passions helped to strengthen their connection over time. Lauren made a comment on how art became the best thing for Tony's mental health, and she mentioned that they were able to have an art studio together. The year 1986 was the year that the couple relocated to Topanga, where they also became parents to a collie called Maggie. Lauren cherished each and every reunion she shared with Tony. On her 40th birthday, they traveled to SeaWorld to interact with penguins, which made the occasion even more memorable. Even the simplest of joys brought them happiness. They enjoyed spending time together in their unique location, which they affectionately referred to as Camp Dow, or Wally World, where they played board games and enjoyed each other's company together. It was Tony's sweetness, softness, and vulnerability that initially had Lauren's interest. He retained these characteristics throughout the entirety of their time spent together. Just before he passed away from his sickness, Lauren posted a post on their 42nd anniversary, in which she expressed her affection for their long-lasting union. Lauren's unwavering commitment to Tony extended well beyond the happier times they had together. She was very proud of him for talking about, for dealing with, and for sharing with others, due to the fact that she assisted him in coping with his depression. During his fight against cancer, Lauren emerged as his most steadfast and devoted supporter. In May of 2022, she informed everyone that his immunotherapy seems to be working. She also managed to keep everyone up to speed with his treatment. Even though his health was deteriorating, she continued to be committed to his care. In spite of the fact that she was regarded by others as being understandably distraught and grief-stricken, she was entirely focused on ensuring that he was comfortable. After Tony's passing, Lauren's heart was broken beyond repair. "I've just lost the love of my life, a man whom I cherished and adored," she stated in her statement. "We were devoted to each other for 45 years, and together we created a beautiful life." Lauren's statement that she could not believe she had survived 12 months without her beloved husband a year later was illustrative of the incredible relationship that exists between the two of them. 3 years may have passed since Tony Dow's death, but his memory is very much alive. In reruns, in art, in love, and now, in the words of the woman who knew him best. We want to hear from you. What's your favorite memory of Tony Dow, or Leave It to Beaver? Share your story in the comments. If you were moved by Lauren's tribute, give this video a like. And don't forget to subscribe to the Maddie channel for more real-life stories, emotional reflections, and timeless tributes to the icons who shaped our hearts. Thank you for watching.